Hey there! Just finished watching episode 9, Game of Thrones, Dance of Dragons. It was a pretty decent episode. I'm happy to say that the last two episodes have been pretty exciting, kind of reminding me why I love the show again. You know, it kind of started off a little slow, and I feel like we're finally moving forward in terms of plot progression, so thank God for that. This episode was good, but it was definitely a mixed bag for me. And we'll discuss why as we continue. So let's just get started. So I want to talk about Dorne. Dorne has been a little bit, disappointing this season for me, anyways. I felt like they hyped it up a lot. They did a 20-minute special on the making of Game of Thrones, and the majority of this documentary took place in the filming of Dorne. So I actually thought that Dorne was going to play a way bigger role in this scene than it actually has. I thought that it's just been lackluster in general. The fight scenes, the dialogue, there really just hasn't done anything. It's kind of just there, and it's not really bringing anything to the table. Well, until this episode, really. So I just want to quickly talk about Doran. We don't really know that much about him. He is known in Westeros as the Patient Lord. He's known as a guy who will sit and just observe and weigh his options before he makes a decision, and his decisions are never expected. And this is why nobody should underestimate Doran. His gears are moving. He's not just sitting there, hanging out and relaxing. He's got something under his sleeve. I don't think that we will see what that is until next season, maybe even not next season, because, like I said, he's a fan of the waiting game. But this season we did see a little bit of his fire in him when he was talking to Ellaria Sand. Sorry. Basically, kiss my ring or die. I really liked that. And the threat, I don't believe in third chances. He hardly believes in second chances. And she was crying because she believes him. That was no empty threat. And I really liked that they finally shone a little light on Prince Doran and what he's capable of. Jaime has been a very big disappointment for me this season, mostly because I feel like since season 1, he has been really a main focal point. Season 1, he was an absolute douche, and he was actually one of the least favorites of everyone. And then, season 2, 3, and 4, it was all about his character development and how he was changing and how the way he sees the world, the way he interacts with the world is changing as he is changing. And I just haven't seen anything like that this season. I've seen, him. He and Bronn are very much just the comic relief of the season, which is very disappointing because, especially Jaime had, they kind of missed out on a plot line that could have been a lot more for him, but I digress. It doesn't matter. We don't need to compare it to the books only. It is a relief to have seeing Bronn get punched in the face. It was comical, of course, but I just feel like they could have done so much more. The producers are always going on about how they had these precious minutes in the show. They only have 10 hours a season, and it's hard to get everything in there. So then why are we wasting time on dialogue that doesn't matter? Why are we wasting time watching a tea party in Dorne? Why are we wasting time with Missandei and Grey Worm's non-existent love relationship if this time is so precious? Shouldn't we be doing it and using it valuably? But, this is an argument that has been going on since the second season when things started changing a little bit. And it's fine. I mean, they did what they did, and that's it. Let's move on. Arya. So, Braavos. I love Arya's storyline so far, and I'm so happy. Like, we have been waiting since season 2 for her to finally get to Braavos, and she's there. First, then we were waiting all season for her to stop sweeping the damn floors. Now she's finished with that. And she finally has her very first job with the Faceless Men. She's been given her first task. Now, I understand that it's not as exciting as getting to murder someone with a sword, to get to murder a bad guy with a sword. But it's still a job nonetheless, and you kind of have to start from the bottom before you can get to the top, of course. So, she's been given this task. And it'll be interesting to see what she does. You know, as we know, she ran into Marin Trant, and she followed him down Bravo. So I mean, we'll see. I guess next episode maybe what she does, what she decides to do. I'm not quite sure what I want her to do. I think that it's very obvious that Arya will not be able to choose both worlds. I don't think that she's going to be able to keep her vendetta as Arya Stark and be no one and the Faceless Men. I think she's going to have to choose one or the other. And the thing is, I'm not 100% sure if I really want her to hold on to Arya. I mean, of course it means a lot for her family, and if she can, avenge her family, that would be wonderful. But the thing is, will she ever be able to live freely in Westeros as Arya Stark ever again? I don't think so. I think that the only way that that's going to happen is if the Lannisters disappear and if the Boltons disappear. I mean, the Lannisters are always going to be looking for her. And the Boltons, if something happens to Sansa, they need another Stark to hold on to Winterfell. So if they know that she's over there, they're just gonna go find her. She's never gonna find a life in peace as Arya Stark. And even if that did happen, the Boltons and the Lannisters did disappear eventually. I mean, maybe she would move back into Winterfell and be a lady of Winterfell. I don't see that happening, and I also don't see how it would be possible for her to knock any names off the list. It's not like she would just be able to casually leave her home to go and assassinate these very well-known, well-surrounded men that she wants to kill. The only way that she would have the talent to be that sneaky is with the training from the Faceless Men. And the only way, that she's going to get that training is if she gets rid of her life as Arya Stark. So it's a very double-edged sword. And I don't really know what to say about it. I mean, I think that she should take this opportunity to get a new life in a new city where no one knows her name, no one knows her family and what has happened to her and what has happened to them, and she can basically just start anew. She can literally be no one. She can change her face and she can change her identity. Even though she has kind of a weird family, even though it's a little bit of a weird one, and I think she should just hold on to this new gift that she has been given, a gift of a new life. I want to give a shout out to my man, Mace Tyrell. Just because, I'm sure that he's an annoying person to be around. It's obvious. Even Olenna can't stand to be around him. But, I mean, good for him. This world is terrible. It's dark. There's so much darkness happening around him. And this guy is just silver lining everywhere. He's so happy to be traveling. He's been given a tedious task of trying to negotiate with the Iron Bank. Most people would hate to go do that, and he's just looking at the bright side of everything, glass half full. So you know what? Good for you, Mace. So, getting back to Arya, I just want to say one thing. A lot of people have been talking about, did Jaqen believe her or not? Of course he didn't. Are you kidding me? Arya has been there for, at least a few weeks, at most a few months. There's no way that she can trick Jaqen H'ghar. Right now, it seems like Jaqen H'ghar is the leader of the Faceless Men. I just don't see him being fooled by her. We'd like to believe that Arya is that good, but she's not yet. He totally knows, and he's holding on to it, and it will come back later. I guarantee you. Alright, let's just get this over with here, the Stannis thing. I am admittedly posting this review almost a week late. Like, it's Friday. I know I'm behind, so I'm tired of this topic. I'm tired of the debate. It was awful. Dave and Dan know it's awful. George Martin knows it's awful. They're not soulless people who think that it's casual to burn a child alive. They know that it's terrible, but that doesn't mean that it shouldn't be in the show. Game of Thrones is about the atrocities of people, the harshness of humanity, and it's also loosely based on real historical events. I mean, read any Greek tragedy. Sacrificing children, all the like that's what Greek tragedies are. Any Roman stories, read up on your own history, people. This stuff is not just coming out of some psycho's mind. And also, it's not the worst thing that has ever happened to cinema. Go watch the movie Seven. Go watch any documentary on the Crusades or any ancient civilization, barbaric civilizations. Go watch the show Vikings. Like, this isn't the worst thing that's happened to cinema, and it isn't going, and it won't be the worst thing that has ever happened to cinema. So I think everyone just needs to relax, calm down. I do want to talk about Stannis, though, because, and here it is, I am still on Team Stannis. Ooh, that's right. I pledged my allegiance to House Baratheon a long time ago, and I'm not going to give up easily. And this is why. Hear me out. Don't get your pitchforks and torches yet. Just listen to what I have to say. First of all, let's talk about the obvious situation here. I'm not sure if people really realize just the dire situation that Stannis and his men are in right now. They don't have enough provisions to travel back to Castle Black. There aren't enough horses to help carry the stuff, so they're going to have to leave half of their stuff behind. Okay, so probably starving on their way there. In turn, they're most likely going to freeze on the way. As you saw, most of the men can't even walk, like it's so cold. Okay, it's not possible that they're going to make it back to Castle Black. They can't go forward because the Boltons aren't going to help them. The Boltons are going to slaughter them. The Boltons are probably not even going to open the doors for a battle. They're just going to watch these people freeze and starve to death in front of Winterfell. The only option that they have is to stay where they are. And maybe they have a choice on how to die. Oh, well, we can either freeze to death, we can starve to death, or, we can kill ourselves, Like, that's the only choice that they have. This isn't a decision where Stannis was like, oh, well, I want to do this to my daughter. I want to do this to Shireen. He's responsible for all of the lives of all of those men that are following him, and he feels responsible for all of the lives of the people in Winterfell. He also feels responsible for all of the lives of the people in Westeros because he wants to be king. He doesn't want to be king the same way that his brother wanted to be king. He wants to be king because he feels like he has a duty. He feels like he needs to save Westeros. Remember that quote from season 2? They have made my kingdom bleed. He doesn't want the kingdom so he can get drunk and party all the time. He cares about the kingdom, and he has seen that it has been just stripped of any good thing that it used to have. And that's where he is right now. On the other hand, let's talk about Shireen here. So, Shireen is a very nice little girl. Very sweet, very intelligent, very book smart. But I just want to talk about her upbringing and the life that she has going for her. So, Selyse, her mother, actually kept Shireen locked up in her bedroom in a tower for most of her life. So imagine being locked in a tower on an island. She has had basically no contact with the rest of the world. Stannis was away at King's Landing while he was on the small council when his brother was king. So he didn't take them to court. She is alone. Her only friends are Patchface, her fool, Davos, and I don't think that her mom really visited her ever, so she's basically got 2 friends and her dad that she has communicated with her whole life. Politically speaking, Shireen has no friends. She has no alliances. She has nothing. So one day, whether her parents die of natural causes or her parents die in this frozen wasteland that they're in right now, Shireen's future is an extremely lonely one. Not just personally lonely, politically lonely. If she becomes the the Lady of Dragonstone, who's going to rally to her side? I mean, especially if her father dies and loses in this battle. I mean, all of their banners are basically going to abandon them and go to the next strongest lord, the next strongest house. So what is my point of saying this? Well, one thing you have to think of too, they've really downplayed this grayscale thing in the show. Grayscale is an absolutely disgusting disease to the normal people of Westeros, to the normal folk who don't know that much about it. The people that are around Shireen at the moment, definitely treated a little more casual because they've known her since she was a baby. But if you remember what Tyrion and Jorah were talking about in the Ruins of Valeria, the minute that someone gets grayscale in Westeros, they ship them off to an abandoned island in the middle of another continent. That's how bad it is. It's got a terrible reputation. My point, nobody's going to want to marry Shireen, politically or otherwise. I mean, no one's going to want to align themselves with that, and no one's just going to even want to be around that. Really, it's not anything against her. It's just the way that the world works over there. So I don't even see Shireen forming a politically strong marriage for herself or an emotionally strong marriage for herself. I think she's going to be a very, very lonely woman when she gets older. And if she doesn't get married, I don't think that she's going to have children. And as Cersei said, when you become a woman, the only love you have in your life is the love for your children. And if she's not going to have any children, then she's not going to have any love. She's going to have a lonely, miserable adulthood. And, I mean, if you read any stories outside of Game of Thrones, Dunk and Egg or The World of Ice and Fire, it's actually not a strange thing for maidens to just hurl themselves out windows and hurl themselves off of cliffs because they're alone, they're miserable, or they're heartbroken. And I genuinely think, I know that this is extreme, but I genuinely think that this is a future that Shireen could have for her. I think that she could end up killing herself due to being miserable. Okay? Now, what I'm not trying to say that Stannis is doing her a favor. That's not what I'm saying whatsoever. What I'm saying is when you weigh these two options together, Shireen's life that we just went over versus hundreds of thousands of men's life, plus the life of the people in Westeros, plus the life of people in Winterfell, Shireen's life is not as valuable to all of this. I think it's the best decision that Stannis had to make. I think it is the most logical decision that he had to make. And, I mean, there's a lot of people saying that he's selfish, just because he wants the throne. Actually, this is an incredibly selfless move that he made. To sacrifice his own daughter to save hundreds and thousands of other families and other sons and other daughters. Incredibly selfless thing of Stannis to do. And this is why I'm still on his side. I'm obviously not condoning the burning of children, okay? I'm a normal girl. I don't condone murder, period, okay? So just keep that in mind before you decide to scream at me in the comments, okay? Moving on to the big scene of the episode. I loved the scene, and I was disappointed of this scene at the same time. And I've heard a lot of people saying this as well. I have read the books, and this scene just amazed me. Like, I had to read it twice over because I couldn't believe what I was reading. I remember pacing my bedroom being like, oh my god, this is amazing, with tears in my eyes. Like, I know that that's a little extreme, but it's what happened. So first of all, before we get into the ending, I just want to talk about, if anybody that is listening can explain to me what exactly the Sons of the Harpies endgame is, I would really appreciate it, because I'm so confused. In the beginning of the season, it seemed like they were kind of protesting against Dany, who they see as a dictator. They see her as a foreign ruler who has come over and who has repressed the nobles and who has taken the side of the common people. And that's what it has seemed for most of the season, that it is a group of nobles who want life to be the way it was. They want her out of there. But what I found really inconsistent in this scene is that the Harpies were just killing everybody. The Harpies were killing other nobles, and I don't understand. If you are trying to protect the nobles from who you see as a dictator, then why are you killing nobles? I mean, just to make a point? I don't understand. Because, I mean, presumably they all know each other. So I don't understand. I mean, are there some common people in the Sons of the Harpy too? Are they a complete outside force that we don't know? Have I missed something? If I have, Please let me know because I'm really confused. A part of me really thinks that they just needed something to happen to lead up to that final scene, and it didn't really matter if it made sense or not. And if that's the case, then that is really disappointing because usually Game of Thrones is very well put together. So yeah, if you have any idea what's going on there with the Sons of the Heartbeat, let me know. Because I also want to say, where did they get those spears from? Did they take them from the Unsullied soldiers, or did they have spears the whole time? Because, I mean, even in this photo here, I can see Dany sitting there. So why didn't anybody try to assassinate her via throwing a spear? Why did that one guy have to get up so close to her to try to kill her? It just doesn't make sense, and the whole thing was inconsistent. And that's basically what I was disappointed about with this scene. But so Drogon comes in to save the day. Woohoo! When you look at this photo right here, this is an illustration that I've actually had on my computer forever. This is what I kind of wanted to see. I wanted to see a little bit of a bigger Drogon. I wanted to see Dany alone in the pit, but you can't get everything that you want. I'm not saying that I didn't love the scene. I was also emotional when watching this. I was so happy to see Drogon coming, right after, she basically was admitting defeat when she grabbed Missandei's hand and closed her eyes. That's what I think it was her admitting defeat. A lot of people think that maybe she was calling to Drogon. I think that Drogon and Dany do have a certain connection. I don't think that Dany fully understands it yet. I don't think Dany isn't fully in control of it yet. I think it's completely an unconscious connection. If you remember in the beginning of the season, when the riots happened in the streets, Drogon actually did come back to the Great Pyramid to check on her. To see if she was okay. And once he did see her, he kind of just flew off. So I think they have kind of this unspoken connection that Dany isn't even aware of yet. But it really did come into full force when he came in to save the day. And also, with her riding Drogon, I don't think that her decision to get up on Drogon had anything to do with leaving her friends behind or with saving herself. I think that Drogon is still a very young dragon. His scales aren't quite hardened yet. He certainly isn't battle hardened. He clearly doesn't realize that as a dragon he is more powerful up in the sky, not on the ground. I think that the only way that Drogon would have survived that situation, because he kept getting stabbed with spears, the only way he was going to survive the situation was if she got him out of there. And the only way to do that was for her to get on him. And we'll see where they're going. It'll be very exciting to see. I hope that they show scenes of her actually riding Drogon because, as I said, the connection that they have, she isn't even really fully aware of it yet, so she's not going to be a professional dragon rider yet. So I really hope that they make that authentic and the struggle that these two have while they're trying to get used to, riding in the sky. I hope that they give that justice, and I'm so excited to see what happens. Now that Tyrion is there, I feel like he could possibly act as Hand of the Queen, but I don't know. I mean, he's done it before, so out of all of the people there, he's got the resume to do it, especially since it seems that Hizdahr is dead. I'm not sure. Let me know what you think about this, because I think that Hizdahr is still totally the leader. I think he's totally the Harpy still. I feel like his death could have been a fake out. Because if you notice at the beginning of that season, of that episode, when he was missing, and then he came in a bit late, and everyone was like, "Where were you?" And he said, "Oh, just making sure everything's in order." Like, what an elusive comment to make, Hizdahr. What does that mean, just making sure everything is in order? Your group of assassins or the games? So let me know what you think about him. Do you think he's dead? Do you think he will come back? Where do you think Dany is going? What do you think they're going to do? And what are they going to do with the other dragons? It's going to be a really exciting thing to see. So that's it, guys. I just want to say that this is my very first review, so I am actually open to many comments, constructive criticisms. You don't have to be a dick about it if you don't like anything I've said or my manner of doing something. I'm totally open to suggestions. You don't have to be mean about it, as I said. Just let me know, because I would really like to make this a regular thing, and I want to know what you guys want to hear. in parallel to these review videos, what I'm going to start to make is actually an episode explained. That's what I'm going to call it. And what it is going to be, it's not going to be so much a review of the episode, but a diving deeper into what really happened, kind of behind the scenes of what the show hasn't really been able to fully explain. You know, exactly, like what was I talking about with Jamie's character development? Well, I'll tell you. You know, what is going on in Tyrion's mind right now? What was Dany thinking when she got on the dragon? All this stuff that is very well explained in the book that they don't have time to put in the show. This is what I want to talk about in my video explained, and also maybe dive into some fan theory stuff. I'm not really sure yet, but we'll see. So if you want to check that out, check the link in the description, and you can also click the link on the bottom of the screen right now. And yeah, so I hope to see you next week, and happy throning!